Welcome back! This is part 2 of our miniature guitar series. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make this miniature amp in 1/6 scale using your Cricut Maker. Now to create our amp, we're going to go into the Images section of Design Space and locate a rounded rectangle. We're then going to create 2 rectangles which will be the side piece, and I've scaled them down to 1/6 scale. Capturing the dimensions from Google for this amp type, we want to get the depth and then scale that down. You're going to need a front and a back piece and then 2 side pieces. Then when making the top and bottom piece, I need to make them a little bit shorter than our sides because I'm going to be cutting from 2mm balsa wood and we need to account for the 2mm either side. So the measurement for the top and bottom piece will be the same, but the width will be shorter by 4mm. If we look at the Marshall speaker, it has this little gold front with the buttons. So I'm going to create a square and I'm going to cut this from gold foil cardstock. So let's color it yellow so that Cricut places it on a separate mat. And then we're going to drag it over to the front piece and just place it on top so it fits really nicely. Now let's make the speaker part, which I'm going to cut a cardstock section from craftboard and then resize it so that it fits over the top of our gold piece. And then I need to make the fabric that the craft board will sit inside to give it a speaker effect. So I take my craft board piece and then I create a square that's bigger than my craft board and place it over the top. And then I'm going to get some little squares and cut out these sections here using the slice tool. And do that across all 4 corners. Should be left with a shape that looks like this. So Cricut's going to cut that out of fabric and I've put it as a pink color so that I know to put it on the pink fabric grip mat. Now let's get a logo of the word Marshall, which I'm going to cut from heat transfer vinyl and then press onto the fabric. So we need to look for the Marshall logo in Google Images. Now this one already had a transparent background, so I didn't need to do anything, and then click it as a cut image. And then we're going to place that onto our canvas and we need to scale it down so that it fits onto the front of our speaker. I've then changed the color because I want Cricut to cut it from heat transfer vinyl. To create a panel that'll sit on the top, create a duplication of your rectangle and then slice another square out of the front. I'm then going to create a handle, so create a square and I'm going to resize it so that it's a lot smaller and will fit on the top of our speaker. I'm also going to color it in that wood color because I'm going to paint it later. And these are the 2 little sections that will hold down the handle. I've then made a thin rectangle which will be the handle area and just resized it. Now I'm going to cut it from the same craft board as I am the speaker area. So I've colored it grey and they'll be placed on the same mat. Check out the ItsyBitsyBuild website for a free SVG file. Now let's walk through the components of our amp. We're going to use 2mm balsa wood for the body of our amp and also for the tiny buttons. We're using a black cotton fabric for our speaker area. Underneath the speaker we have our gold metallic cardstock. And we're using craft board for the handle area and also for a piece that will sit under the fabric and stabilize it. We're using 1mm balsa wood for the handles on either end and some white heat transfer vinyl for the logo. Now we're ready to assemble our amp. When assembling your amp, pay attention to the 2 side pieces that are shorter. These will need to be on opposite ends. Start by applying a small amount of glue and then join these two pieces together, and we're making our box shape. Once you've made a box, glue the front and back pieces down. Then use a clamp until all pieces dry. Once everything is dry, we're going to sand down the edges to make a rounded box. Then I've painted all of our wooden pieces using black acrylic paint. For the speaker area, I'm using the Cricut Mini heat press. Once you've weeded your heat transfer vinyl, you want to place it on the fabric, ensuring that it sits underneath these two tabs. Press it down with the heat press, then peel off the backing. With the logo facing down, we're going to place our craft board in the center of our fabric. Then apply some glue tape and run it along each edge like so. Fold your edges inwards and stick them down. Then apply a small amount of craft glue to each corner and bend your edges down. When you flip it over, the logo placement should be perfect. Place some glue on the front of your speaker and then stick down your metallic gold cardstock. Then apply glue to the back of your speaker and carefully glue it into place. We can then place our wooden piece on the front like so. Now let's make the handle. We've got our piece of craft board which I've coloured black using a Posca pen. And for the two wooden handle pieces, I've used this gold paint. So glue those pieces down on the top. Now we have these little buttons which I've cut earlier. Again, colouring them with that black Posca pen. And then I've painted the front in gold. Glue those buttons down onto your speaker. I've used an eyelet for the input port, which you can obtain from eBay or other craft stores. I've just glued it down to the end here. As a finishing touch, I've repainted the front of the buttons. And here's our completed guitar amp, and isn't it adorable? It fits perfectly with our 1/6 scale Fender Stratocaster. Thanks for watching our mini guitar series. You can support my channel by giving me a like and a subscribe.